Welcome to part 4, the Sansei, chapter 13, Too Good to Be True. Sansei women are a success story at the top for scholastic achievement and at the same time at the bottom for delinquency and crime. Internally, they have complex questions of their identity, prejudice, and cultural baggage. Have they really melted into the pot? Research sociologist Montero found there is a leveling off for socioeconomic achievement. This means that as they assimilate more into American society, they may end up with lower achievement in general. That being said, they do have an individualistic outlook. They might lose advantages that a cohesive community had given them. Most studies on the Sansei were conducted between 1965 to 1975. This chapter covers those studies. So they're about 18 years old, their teens, early 20s. Growing up, most were born between 1940 and 1960. Those born before 1950 tended to have values and behavior more closer to the Nisei, whereas those born later, 1960s and beyond, they tend more toward contemporary society. Most grew up in urban suburban areas. They tend to grow up to congregate in certain areas of the cities and towns where they could buy homes. They grew up in ghetto-like communities such as East Los Angeles and socialized with other Sansei. Now bear in mind, by East LA, we're not talking about what East LA looks like right now. Back then, it was more suburbs than ghetto. So yeah, bear that in mind. And I actually met at least one of them. So it was quite interesting for me to talk with her, what her experiences were growing up compared to her parents and grandparents who were in internment camps. So pretty cool stuff. They belong to organizations such as Bluebirds or Girl Scouts and college sororities. One Sansei woman lived in Gardena, California, was totally immersed in Japanese American society, went to UCLA. Her close friends were also Sansei, and she married a Sansei. Another woman said that she never really had a really good white friend. She went to Japanese church. Although she felt it wasn't real, most of her friends came from the church. As a result, she had a hard time socially interacting with people outside her community. Yet, a different Sansei woman says she faulted her parents. Everything she did was with her family. They lived in a family-owned apartment building. Although she made friends, the family always came first. In sharp contrast, there was a UCLA student who said she grew up in an all-white suburb. As a result, when she started attending university, she wondered, is she supposed to befriend whites, or is she supposed to befriend other Japanese Americans? And she did notice that women who dated white guys tended to have Japanese American men who avoided them. And she thought that's stupid. One study found that those who had white friends tended to have very few Asian friends. The reason was Asians tend to be cliquish. For example, Koreans hang out with only other Koreans. Filipinos hang out with other Filipinos. Chinese tend to hang out with other Chinese. And when I went to the college, I also experienced the same thing. I'm like, oh, okay. Even though we're saying we're Asian American, we're sticking to our own kind. So, that being said, most have white friends from high school and beyond. Miss Abe said most of her best friends were non-Japanese, and she married a non-Japanese. Family life, most had a satisfying life growing up. Some felt indulged and spoiled. Most gave only positive statements. A few gave both positive and negative. And 2 were completely negative, and 3 didn't even answer the question. Education, 88% has some college training. They tended to be job-oriented, they tend to enter secure professions. Sometimes the drive toward upper mobility was frightening. The Sansei going to college was due to the fact that their niece and mother didn't have that opportunity. because she had, her job is to take care of the family, take care of her parents as they're aging. So cultural identity, only 2% had a functional knowledge of Japanese, so it's even more pronounced after the war. One person knew the value of learning Japanese. As a result, they took courses on Japanese language and culture. Miss Kuramoto Jung observed that New Year's was more important than Christmas. She started going to her grandmother's house for family Japanese food. However, she didn't learn Japanese because her grandparents passed away early in her life, so subsequent New Year's occurred at their parents' home. She was made aware of their experience during the war. Their experience caused them to make sure the children are 100% American. Another woman recalls knowing she wasn't white. However, she wasn't certain when she realized that she was Japanese American. She recalls a time she cringed whenever her classmate yelled a racial epithet. Yet, keep in mind, this area is during the Vietnam War, so again, Korean War. All of a sudden, it's not cool to be Asian. Vietnam War, again, it's not cool to be Asian. So they did experience racism in class. When she started sixth grade, she had a classmate who was also Japanese American. And that's when she was very self-conscious at how much they had in common. Miss Masako wrote, "I forgot my hairs were black. Growing up, she was told that marrying a white man is equivalent to degrading herself. As a result, she had a tough time relating with a white boyfriend. Since his eyes were blue, she forgot that her eyes were black, hence the title of her essay." Potents, as a socio-political economic environment changed, they became more interested in their cultural identity. They were free to choose what they wished to keep, stuff they wished to get rid of. Issei and Nisei are homogenous, they have a long common with each other, but the Sansei is more diverse. They don't believe or behave uniformly. Some cling to conformity, however, others are trying to bring evolutionary or revolutionary change to society. All of them are searching for a new Japanese American identity. As a result, they're more about evolution. The next few chapters will show them in a more contemporary light. So, questions, comments, constructive criticisms, ask for clarification, let me know. And in a few days, I will go over the next chapter. Take care. See ya.